Hello, Ross and Sam here from Cultaholic Wrestling, and we're here for the WrestleDream 2024 predictions. Apparently, Tony Khan likes to say WrestleDream every single time he says it, Sam.
It's a legal requirement. You've got to add the TM afterwards as well. WrestleDream TM.
We're here to do some predicting for the card. Of course, there will be a live stream this Saturday night as the show is going on. What are the deets, Sam?
YouTube.com/Cultaholic/live. We will be here during the pre-show onwards, so make sure you get yourselves in advance and leave us a load of abuse in the live chat that we can look at and go, when we sit down.
Some of it's deserved. As of course you might know as well, we've restructured the entire Patreon thing, so this is the last AEW predictions competition without an early punishment for one of the big four, Full Gear being one of the big four, of course.
Yeah, it's going to be really
terrible.
Fun.
But you can get involved at patreon.com/cultaholic at the $10 tier. You can make us do unspeakable things because we don't have to abide to the YouTube gods, so we could literally suck off a horse if you wanted to. Now to the predictions. First off, on the pre-show 0 Hour Buy-In, whatever the hell they're calling it this time, we have Atlantis Jr. versus Bryan Cage for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. Sam, who are you picking and why?
Well, my big thing here is it's the World Television Championship being defended on, pre-show, but
WCW, bahoy.
It's TV Championship, right? It's TV Championship. Atlantis has had the belt for over 100 days, 3 successful defenses, and I think right now it's time for them to do something with Bryan Cage and actually get him a belt that he can defend on TV with regularity, because it's the TV title.
He makes a good point, to be fair. I don't watch too much Ring of Honor, so I'm basing my prediction off how Bryan Cage was used on the AEW roster like he was for the longest time. He was used to put on banger matches for a man of his size. Shouldn't be able to put on, but he does because he is a fantastic wrestler. But the most important part is he makes his opponent look better than they actually are. So Atlantis Jr. for the win, because Bryan Cage will make him look totes amazeballs.
No, it's like the American Werewolf type.
I don't think it is, Sam.
Werewolf? Wolverine.
Rawr.
Rawr. Same thing. Next up, we've got Mark Briscoe defending the Ring of Honor World Championship against Chris Jericho, who has Big Bill and Brian Keith at ringside. Who you got and why?
There's been a lovely shift in the character of Mark Briscoe recently because of that promo where Chris Jericho brought up Jay. It's been a fantastic thing. It's got the reaction they wanted to from the people. You don't have to be angry for Mark. He was on board with the promo being used effectively like it has been.
It was consensual.
Yes, of course it was. So the more serious Mark Briscoe will put one hell of a beating on the sorry arse of Chris Jericho to retain his title. Who are you picking?
I agree with you. I think that everything in that back and forth is going to fuel Mark to a decisively powerful victory. And also, I've seen Jericho with the Ring of Honor title. I don't need to see it again.
Yes, you do,
need to see it again.
You need to see it, and Dave Meltzer needs to see it, so Dave Meltzer can be contacted by Chris Jericho, so Chris Jericho can be thanked for all the great work he does backstage in AEW.
So he can leave it on the top of a limo while he leaves a steakhouse, pull away, and then everybody goes, "Where's the belt gone?" It's in a ditch because it fell off the roof of the limo.
I do hope Jericho gets written off here, so he can go away and then come back where he feels like he's
been...
been...
Go do a world tour.
No, but he feels like he's being used where he's benefiting the show rather than taking up TV time and taking it away from more compelling characters, Chris. Bloody hell. Bloody hell, Chris. Next up in quintessential WrestleDreaming, we have Hologram versus the Beast Mortos. 2 out of 3 falls, Sam. This is an unadulterated WrestleWank.
It is. It really is. It's a man who isn't quite visible or touchable because he's a hologram versus an actual Minotaur. So this is like the stuff Tony used to dream about as a kid. I reckon that it's hologram, right? Tony's got a stiffy for hologram. Tony invented hologram. Hologram has been on an absolute tear, and it just makes sense to me that it would be hologram.
Yeah, hologram's undefeated streak. Undefeated streak on television continued on this week's Dynamite in that fantastic match against Commander. The undisputed streak has been made a thing on television. I think it will continue against the Beast Mortos, who is a baddie and hologram's a goodie.
And we get lucha rules here. 2 out of 3 falls is the standard in most lucha bouts, so we get a bit of drama building into it.
What will Jake Snake do?
I don't know.
Will Jake Snake do anything?
Yeah. Maybe.
He's Beast Mortos manager now.
Everybody loves Jake Snake.
Jake Snake.
Next up in singles action, we've got Darby Allin taking on Brody King. Who you got and why?
It breaks me heart to say it, Sam, but I think the storyline of Darby Allin just wanting to be the face of AEW, taking all the radio roads and stuff for granted and whatnot, that's building up into a sort of rebirth of Darby Allin of some sorts, and he's going to get the win over Brody King. It was nice to see The Rock appear on this week's Dynamite, of course, when it was smashed into the face of one Brody King by Darby Allin. But I do think Darby Allin, on his ascension back up the card, will get the win here.
I think when you look at it, there's history between these two, so if they did want to extend this out into sort of like a mini feud, maybe a Darby win here would be the thing to do to get the ball rolling on that. But at the same time, I also look at the fact the last time we saw Darby on pay-per-view, it was shaping up to be one of the more exciting matches on the card, but then it had that just really underwhelmingly quick end to it. So I feel like a big decisive Darby statement victory here is enough to reinvigorate him a bit and just keep pushing him up.
I would love it if Brody King won. I would love it, but I don't think he's going to get it done this time around. Next up, we have MxM Collection taking on the Acclaimed in standard tag team fair. Who are you picking and why, Sam?
Well, it's a pretty hard one to call, this one. We had a bit back and forth with them. There was the fashion show. There was the reveal of Billy Gunn as Hans. There was all the messing with the jacket. But to me, it's going to sound really horrible. And I don't mean it to sound as horrible as it's going to sound, but MxM are a team that I don't think necessarily need wins. They're entertaining no matter what they do. And I think that they're the type of team where if they continue to be beaten in matches like this, it's just going to fuel more entertainment. I think the Acclaimed, for that reason, for me, stand out as the team that's going to take it.
Yeah, it's a flip of a coin for me in this one because they both had the upper hand in the build to this match. Max Caster likes the edits they've done to his sparkly jacket because
it's all backfired.
They make his tits pop and his muscles look fantastically big. So I'm just going to go for the Acclaimed as well, Sam, just because of the flip of the coin. I flipped the coin, it landed on the Acclaimed side. In fact, no, it landed on MxM side so I could see the Acclaimed side. That's how coin flips work.
Next up, defending the TNT Championship, we got Jack Perry taking on Katsuyori Shibata. Who you got and why?
Well, you could say lots of things about Katsuyori Shibata. He's a wrestler who can hit people really hard, and I'm Jack Perry, the TNT champion, and I can retain this title forevermore and take it on my party bus around.
Sit with a sweet tea on a rocking chair on your porch.
Take it around America on the global tour of the scapegoat.
Oh, because Jack Perry's going to win, Sam. I think it's a bit too soon for Shibata to be winning the title in terms of how he's been used in this feud. It feels a little bit thrown together, but having Shibata in the match allows Jack Perry the license to put on a beating against someone people care about, which will make people uncomfortable and benefit Jack Perry in the long run.
Look, as much as I love Shibata, he was a big part of why I got into New Japan when I started getting into New Japan. Love him to bits. It just makes sense that Jack Perry here, given how he is as a character now, is going to be able to target Shibata in ways that are a bit too near the knuckle for the audience. I think that, going after Shibata's head, particularly might be something we're going to be seeing here. And failing all of that, the Bucks are never far away. So I think this is Perry's. It's in the bag.
I hope he does something big because I want Jack Perry to work, but he is just being a really bad impersonation of Raven at the moment. It's just a little bit too boring. Come on, Perry.
Needs to start wearing jorts and sitting down in the corner for a bit.
Yeah.
Next up, we have a three-way match for the AEW International Championship. The champion Will Ospreay taking on Ricochet, taking on Konosuke Takeshita. Sam, who are you picking and why?
There's a factor in this match that I think two of the men don't want to be there, and I think Ricochet and Ospreay are going to be so just smitten with each other and just smooching. That he just basically Takeshita's going to get in, and he's going to get some sort of upset victory after these two have kind of maybe joined forces to take him out, and then he's going to pop back up toward the end and remind everybody that he's there and kind of have that big moment, right?
Full agreement that Takeshita's going to win, in my opinion, as well, but I think the way he'll get there is because of Kyle Fletcher doing something to Will Ospreay that he doesn't want to do, but Don Callis and the contract that Kyle has with the Don Callis family, that's what he'll be made to do. They sort of teased it on Dynamite this week, didn't quite get there, so I think they'll go full hog for a Takeshita swoop-in victory thanks to Kyle Fletcher. And he'll be heartbroken, the little twink.
He's going to be so conflicted.
I don't know why I said little twink. He's a very slender, tall man with big muscles and lovely tats.
Next up, we got the Young Bucks defending the AEW tag titles against Private Party. This one seems like it's pretty obvious. Who you got and why?
Well, the story has been made. The rebirth of Private Party. They're going to do things on their own. Stokely Hathaway, a big dirty heel, tries to hop on the bandwagon. They're like, no, Stokely, we don't want your assistance, you bad boy. We're here to do it on our own for the first time in 5 years because we've done little to nothing since the second episode of Dynamite. The story's there, but the Bucks will win, sir.
I'm going the opposite. I'm sick of the Young Bucks. I'm sick of them. And I'm maybe going a bit too much for the heart over the head, but I'm sick of the Young Bucks being in the position they're in. I think they're still a great team. It's just the case that they feel like kind of the old Lions just sitting on the belts, and another reign for them doesn't really feel like it means anything at this stage. And I think having somebody like Private Party come in, take those titles, reinvigorate the tag division, while at the same time forcing the Bucks to change their approach, reinvigorate themselves, and come back at it with sort of a fresh set of eyes, might be the best thing for the tag division overall.
That is my great fear, Sam, because you look at it, if it's not going to be Private Party, who is it going to be? eventually the Outrunners, maybe. Hopefully.
That'd be great. Yeah, hopefully.
But as for now, there's not too many tag teams who feel like they're primed.
You can buy some more, it's fine.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. But the Bucks are going to win and make us all sad. Next up for the AEW Women's World Championship, we have the champion Mariah May taking on Willow Nightingale. Who are you picking and why, Sam?
It's at this point where I think I have definitely gone, once again, heart over head, because I've gone for Willow Nightingale.
Ooh.
Yeah, it might be a bit soon. But part of me's thinking, if you look at Mariah May right now, Toni Storm has disappeared, obviously popped up in Australia. She's popped up in Stardom. Having her maybe come in and cost Mariah, it's going to cause maybe a bit of ructions at the top, but I think business will resume fairly quickly afterwards. But it gives Willow a massive moment. I think it does basically put her at that level where she's ready. It kind of fast tracks her there, and at the same time it means we can have Toni cost Mariah, maybe have Toni and Mariah put the bow on that and then move forward.
I think Toni Storm is distracted by taking her eye off the ball and putting her eyes on a set of balls, the balls of wrestling legend Stan Hansen, who she's been having a little bit of canoodle with from time to time with his lariat, not his arm. But I'm going to go for Mariah May to return. As Sam said, it feels a bit too soon to be doing title change now, but every single time Mariah May has been on TV, it feels like she's done something to justify her role as the biggest bitch in the AEW women's roster. I think maybe Jamie Hayter is the one being primed to get a win over her. It was weird to see what they did with her, but I guess Penelope came back to sort of whizzle-wazzle her chances in that four-way match on Dynamite. So I think Mariah May to keep it for now. Willow to look strong. Jamie Hayter down the line. Yeah.
Next up in singles action, we got Hangman Page versus Jay Knifeboy White.
You big knifey pervert.
Knifey pervert.
It's a very interesting timing for this match because Jay White's had the sort of rebirth of his character. He's gone from the heel that he was in the first run of his run in AEW. Sorry, it didn't make him stand out at all. I thought he was very basic in, I'm JF, you calling yourself the salt of the earth, do you? Well, I think that's a silly nickname.
It was sort of a hangover from that New Japan presentation style, wasn't it?
Didn't quite work in AEW, so having him come back in this more piss-takey, baby-facey role alongside Juice Robinson in particular, it's interesting also with the storyline of there's two things in my way to getting to the title, one of which is Hangman. But Hangman doing after what he did with Swerve, after the cage match, I just can't see him losing at this point of the year.
My brain initially was thinking, like, just because we're getting that more light-hearted side of Jay White, there's always good duality there with him, and I think still having him be very vicious in matches would work quite well with that. So my mind was thinking maybe Hangman is at the point where any setback could really have a knock-on effect and just fuel him even more. But at the same time, it's just got to be Hangman, hasn't it? Like, after that performance at All Out, it's just, he set fire to a man's house, he busted out a cinder block and a syringe. What's a little dagger necklace going to do?
Nothing! Might do something.
Maybe.
But nothing.
Open a little letter.
And finally, for the world title, we have Bryan Danielson, the champion, taking on Jon Moxley. Will this be the final countdown, Sam?
Well, it's in his home state. It's in a crowd near where he lives. We're in Tacoma, aren't we? So it's one of those where part of me's thinking, yes, huge hometown moment, but at the same time, on the other side of the fence, we got John Cena's retirement tour, which has been very, very highly publicized. This feels like it's what's happening for Bryan in a bit more of a subdued way here. And I think that essentially, right now, it feels like just a massive swerve. It feels like we're going to see a host of his former nemesis come back, and to end it with just Mox, even after everything, the build has been incredible, the plastic bag, the reinvigorated BCC, everything's kind of taken a much more sinister turn, but I just see Bryan winning.
That's the thing. I think there's more matches to do for Bryan Danielson before his eventual retirement from the squared circle, which will never be gone back on. We know this because this is professional wrestling.
Well, Tony also said that, they both said that when he loses, he's gone, so he's just never going to lose again.
But then Daniel,
reverse screw job after reverse screw job after reverse screw job.
But then Danielson did say, well, if I do retire, I'll probably come back for a couple here and there, you know. But even though Jon Moxley, as Sam said, the work with him in the new promo style and whatnot, the reinvigorated BCC, Marina Shafir has been presented wonderfully well as well. God, yeah. It's all working, but I do think Danielson, his time isn't now to retire. There's still a few matches to get to, so I think Danielson will win. But it'll be interesting to see how they do it.
I think it's going to be a very close fought, maybe even quite a close finish, but I think that essentially essentially, the train's just not ready to stop yet.
No. Choo-choo, Bryan. Choo-choo.
The Danielson train.
Yes, it is. Woo-woo. Just a little bit slower than the Tamina train. Anyway, that was it for our AEW WrestleDream predictions. Sam, where can they see us again on Saturday?
YouTube.com/cultaholic/live. We will be live through the pre-show onwards. There's 11 matches announced now, and I'm assuming we're going to have about 17.
Yeah.
So we'll be with you till about 7 a.m. UK time.
But we'll call those matches on the fly as and when we get to them on the card. Of course, on the channel this week, we've had pitches, predictions today. The Cultaholic Wrestling podcast is out tomorrow. Stuff on Saturday. What happened on Sunday. Then the new Patreon tiers kick off from Crown Jewel onwards for me anyway with WTF. So that's when we'll get to them. And this is the last one without punishments, obviously. So that's good.
Yeah, we're going to be doing punishments for the big four on both sides of the fence moving forward. And they're going to be just lovely.
They are. Thank you for watching, everybody, and we'll see you Saturday.